I don't know what the fuck's going on with that. Every week.
Perfectly, man.
Every week.
Perfectly.
You got
It's
his
just
cool
not
intro
showing-
now and everything. Yeah.
I know, it's not even showing up on my screen.
Oh,
Like,
it's
it's,
great.
ooh.
Did Efren
Never
play
mind.
that for you? It feels like Efren played that on his guitar for you. It was very nice. I like that.
Yeah.
That's what I was imagining when I put that together. Yeah. Ding, 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 ding. Anyway, it's another week. We've got another book to show. Welcome everybody to that comic book review show. I'm of course joined by my panel, Triple J, James T. Keegan, Hydra Collectibles, and Passpoint Comics. Give us another one of them, James.
Ew.
That's the first one on this channel, mate.
I know, right? Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank
Yeah.
you for having me. It's an honor, anyway.
Oh well, thank you for being here. I hope you've been keeping good all through the week.
Yeah.
We are missing one person tonight, James Comicdale. I hope you're all right, mate. And hopefully you'll be back next week. So this week, we're reading Secret Invasion. It was 2008, I believe this came out, if I'm not wrong. Written by Brian Michael Bendis with art by Lionel Francis Yu. Straight off the bat, we're going to come to you, Pete, on your overview.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, so last week we read, what was it? Flashpoint.
Flashpoint, yeah.
And I didn't particularly rate that. I'd enjoyed that when I first read it back in whenever it first came out, but I didn't enjoy it in second reading. I remember saying to you last week that I remember not particularly enjoying this one at the time. So I don't think Bendis's writing really blew us away, and I don't think the art blew us away when I first read it. Read this yesterday or the day before, and I couldn't put it down. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. The pacing of it for me was perfect. I loved the action in it. Do you remember us saying during the Flashpoint one that I thought Flashpoint really suffered from the fact that it had multiple kind of add-ons that you needed to read to understand the story?
Yeah.
I don't feel I needed that with this. This was
a
complete story, and I know there were lots of add-ons, but it didn't detract from how much I enjoyed this story. So yeah, I surprised myself by enjoying it more than I expected. And I mean, I'm sure the other guys are going to come onto it. Just looking at Fuzzy's comment there, let's be realistic. Practically fuck all of this book's going to be in the TV series. I mean, there's no way any of this is translated to TV. Yeah,
definitely not.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Good. Let's go to the new guy, James.
I feel just about the opposite of everything Peter just said. I found this completely impossible to get into because there is so much stuff around it that I think you kind of have to read. The last thing in this era that I've read is Civil War, which I'm happy I did because I think that plays a role to this. But like it opens and there's like a Skrull Electron that slap, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on already, you know. And then like as it goes, I feel like there's too many characters in it. Like way too many. Some of them don't do anything in it, so they're obviously just there because their comic book ties into this in some way. And then by the end of it, there's like so many threads, like one particular, like a revelation at the end that is just left like hanging, like it's a cliffhanger.
Right.
And I don't even know where the fuck to go to like finish that story. So like I assumed this entire like since 2008 that Secret Invasion was like one of the all-time great Marvel like Avengers tie-in things, and I was bitterly disappointed by this. So that's the art is decent, but yeah, it was a bit of a slog, I felt.
Yeah. Oh, okay, mate. Okay. Controversy. Efren, how about yourself?
I'm the opposite of James. Is this the first time you read it, James?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I read it when it first came out. I didn't touch it since. And like Peter, when I read the first issue, I was hooked. I was like, wow, this is a good storyline. I really enjoyed it. I myself, I like when they have gigantic crossover events, when X-Men, Avengers, anybody else joins, Spider-Man, the Thunderbolts, even the bad guys joined in, they all were united for this one cause, and I like the way they portrayed the Skrulls. There was this one little clip, I forgot which issue it was, but the Queen said to Reed Richards, this is what you get basically for turning back in decades ago these Skrulls into cows. I think that was issue 2 of the Fantastic Four. You know, I was like, wow, man, God, that's pretty cool the way they inserted that little jab in there, you know. But I really liked it. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. Luke, what's your take on it?
I'm going to come.
Say you're going to be the opposite of Ephraim.
I'm going to be the opposite of.
Yeah.
No, do you know what? I'm kind of down the middle with this. So I read this when it originally came out, and I remember reasonably enjoying it, you know. But like James said, you do have to know all of this other stuff. So what I found when I was reading it again this second time, the bits that I couldn't remember, I did have to go back and look it up on my phone to go, oh yeah, of course, yeah, I remember now, that happened.
Right.
Obviously, Civil War being the main point of all this, you know, the heroes are separated and they've had to come together to fight this common foe. I feel like a lot of it was missed opportunity, both back then and now, you know, rereading it, in the sense of, at the time of this being written, Marvel was in a really off place with a lot of these characters. A lot of these characters were doing things that this event could have fixed all their problems. It's like, oh, people don't like Hank Pym because one day he hit his wife. It's like, well, make him a Skrull. He didn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, bring your hero back. You know, if you don't like the Spider-Man stuff, it's okay. Spider-Man was a Skrull. You know, all these different characters, you could have fixed all of your problems, but they did none of that. So as entertaining as it was, as good as it was to read, it didn't actually benefit or go anywhere outside of this story. And I think that's its biggest downfall. You know, it wasn't utilized in a way that I think could have benefited and helped Marvel Comics at the time.
Yeah, well, fair enough, mate. Yeah. Before I say my piece, I'll just say a big hello, of course, to Fuzzy Dunlop.
Fuzzy?
Does it come up? Yeah, there it is. And Sif Lawley over at Spinetix. Thanks for joining, mate.
Wasabi.
Yeah, wasabi. I read that. So my overview was, I thought the story was great. This is actually the first time I've read it. And I think I said the same thing with Flashpoint. Is you've been around comics a long time. You feel like you know the story, so you don't need to go out and pick it up to read it. But yes, so my first time reading it, I enjoyed it. The art was okay. Some of the panels were a bit dodgy. I think there was a panel where it showed Black Widow, and she ended up looking like the Riddler at the end of Batman Forever, with his chin down here. It was ridiculous. I'm sure we started to draw Spider-Man's ear and give up halfway. I just thought, nah, I'll leave it anyway. But anyway, yeah, like Efren said, not the first appearance of the Skrulls, I caught onto that straight away. I thought that was good. But like Pete said, I don't feel like you need to read the tie-ins. It's pretty much a self-contained book, and that's where I'm at with it. Obviously, the trade I picked up does come with some in the back, and I haven't even looked at them because I didn't feel like I needed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting just to pick up on a few points there, GP. I think Luke and James are right, mind. I think I probably read it easier because I've got all the background knowledge to it. So I think what's important is, prior to this mini-series, there was a year's worth of kind of hints and things, and even the big reveal of the Skrull doesn't happen really in this miniseries. So I have all that kind of background knowledge. And Luke's right; it doesn't really there's no big impact of it. Do you know what I mean? There was no big key character that you kind of went, oh, that's
what it was. Is much like Civil War was before it, like what James was saying, that you have to know that information. And James was asking where you go next. Well, the answer next is obviously the Dark Reign stuff, all the Dark Avengers.
More so one particular thread of it that we'll get to. I don't like.
So this was pretty much just set up. Do you know what I mean? So it was entertaining. Don't get me wrong. You know, it was like tipping the toy box out, and you've got all your figures, and you're fighting them together and everything else. It was good fun. But yeah, you do need that bit before it and that bit afterwards. It's very much the filler in between. To comment on Fuzzy's comment here, it's not their job to rectify anything. You're absolutely right, but they could have. They could have fixed They could have fixed a lot of wrongs that fans were upset by. And we could have got some of our favorite characters back to their status quo.
But you see that in itself, I'm not going to start a fight straight away, but that in itself is contentious, because what you might see as a flaw of your favorite character, I might love. So which
I'm
flaws
not
do they pick,
against.
you know?
I'm not against a lot of them. I just know that a lot of people at the time were. This
Yeah.
obviously this isn't going to fix my biggest
Yeah,
gripe,
so-
which is one more day.
Yeah,
That's
so
not,
a lot
that's
of
not gonna help
people,
there.
a lot of people at the time said, "We don't like the fact that Hank Pym was a wife beater. Let's rectify that." I think you mentioned it before. Actually, I think that's a great part of his character, and it shows a bit of real life. So I would have been pissed if they rectified that.
And you're erasing everything with that character.
Yeah,
between that
just
happening and this
Just
story.
another thing, and I might be misremembering it, so someone please check us in the comments if I'm wrong. But we mentioned there about the fact that the cows were referenced. So for those that don't know, in Fantastic Four, I think it's 2 or 3. There's some scrolls, and they lock them in the form of a cow and leave them on a field.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there's a story. It might be Skrull Kill Crew later on, where it turns out that those cows were put into the food chain, and loads of people ingested burgers made out of Skrulls and got Skrull powers.
I think I
And then
remember
there's
something
this-
about
yeah.
that. Yeah.
And then
I
there's
like
this
that.
Skrull Kill Crew who go out trying to hunt them down.
Yeah.
Just stupid, but great. Yeah.
It's a quick
That should be a
hello
show.
to
Disney Plus,
people
please.
join us here.
Yeah.
How we doing, Sean? Nice to see you, mate. And hello to Kenneth. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I forgot all about that. Skrulls getting turned into
Great.
burgers.
Grant Morrison, I think.
Yeah, we'll have to go back and read that one, definitely.
Yeah.
Next week.
Ephraim, were you going to say something?
I was going to say, when I finished reading this book, and I mentioned it in our group chat, what are they going to do with the Secret Invasion Disney Plus show?
Yeah.
This would be a perfect way to bring back Scarlett Johansson and Robert Downey Jr. Say they were Skrulls, they were, sleeper agents, and they didn't realize who they were, and bring them back.
No.
Let death have meaning in the movies.
Scarlett Johansson's got a beautiful death. I love
Can
that.
I just say that I'm completely opposite to Ephraim?
To be fair, though, Scarlett Johansson is coming back in a producer sort of way.
Yeah. But again,
project.
I mean, I know, sorry, I prattle too much, but that's the beauty of this series. I think for me, it's the concept more than maybe it's the execution. It's the thought, and that's what I'm hoping we're getting the TV show. It's the thought that all these characters we love might have been Skrulls all along, or they've been infiltrating various. That for me is the interesting bit. It's that distrust of your characters you've loved for a long time.
Yeah. I might say if people want to go on to further reading, I actually learned something today that the Skrull invasion actually went all the way back to the Annihilation storyline.
Wow.
I love that.
That's when they
Because
started
the
to do the
Skrull-
implant in the brains. And
the Skrull Empire was
yeah.
destroyed in that or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. So we'll get straight into the issues with issue 1. Might bring up the slide, Pete.
Up.
It's up.
Now, Ephraim and James requested this slide for some reason.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say I thought it was a clever hiding of the body parts in this.
It was very clever.
And bang, there it is. It's the first I don't know if it's the first panel, but it's on the first page. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And I guess this is
why did it...
of this. So.
Yeah. So obviously you got us all confused now. Looking at that. Obviously, we first see Elektra as a Skrull. I think this. I'm trying to think what book
it was in New Avengers that the discovery.
New Avengers.
Yeah.
Right. So they've got Tony Stark's got her laid out on the slab dead. Brings in Reed Richards and Hank Pym. And as you can see here, Hank Pym turns and just basically melts.
I love it.
Like cheese. That's an awesome image.
Yeah.
Reed Richards. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. But they don't know how the Skrulls are going about undetected. And next thing you know, a ship crash lands in the Savage Land. And that starts bringing all these different groups to the Savage Land. Some of them are still on the run because of the events in Civil War. And Luke Cage basically says, I've had enough of this, I'm going to open the ship. Screw everybody else. He opens the ship and all shit gets let loose. And that's when the invasion begins. Any thoughts on this first issue, anybody?
At any point, did you, because they play coy with this, did you think anyone that came out of that ship wasn't a Skrull?
Yeah.
I thought
you thought some of them weren't Skrulls?
I thought they were all Skrulls.
No,
I figured they were all Skrulls, and they are all Skrulls, aren't they?
Yeah. So at the time, they'd hinted, much as Luke was saying, that this was going to be a bit of a reset for some characters and stuff like that. So when this book first came out, I genuinely thought that some of these guys were going to be the proper versions of the characters,
Right.
because it had been so heavily hinted that we're going to fix the Marvel universe, and the heroes you've known for so long aren't really who. I have to say, I didn't put any slides up, JP. I should have. The marketing for this book was tremendous. The kind of the posters and things like that. There's a one with a little scroll girl who licking an ice cream with another little girl and things like that. And it was really set up that this was going to shake, things up massively, which is why it's a bit of a disappointment later on, I guess.
Actually, I like this bit when they were coming out the ship and Cap's obviously Silver Age Cap is still calling Iron Man Shellhead.
Yeah.
Basically on all my stars and garters, and
because I guess
it's Sweet Christmas.
I guess you've got to remember as well that a lot of these characters at the time were dead. So Cap was dead in the Marvel universe at the time. Ford vanished. And a lot of them are in the very old school costumes that have been replaced over the years.
Yeah, I mean, that was the best thing about... Sorry, carry on.
No, go ahead, man.
I was going to say, that was the best thing about those images, was that you could identify when those characters were taken, when those scrolls adopted their look, and you could base it back to all the different stories, which obviously, if you're a bit of a overthinker like me, that's a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely, yeah.
That's what I'm saying, Luke. That was the beauty of this series, because I saw that image and I did exactly what you've described and started thinking back to the last 5 years worth of comics since, for example, I don't know, Luke Cage wore that tiara and started kind of unpicking his storylines and thinking, well, actually, that was a shit story. Maybe he was a Skrull. That makes sense now. He was a prick in that comic. Do you know what I mean? Well, actually, it was just bad writing. But you started to invent the story yourself as to why, these characters have been acting not as they should be.
Yeah. And saying that you get Bobby Morse back. Mockingbird. Such a good storyline in this book.
Yeah, I really did connect with that Hawkeye's kind of emotion over her return. I thought that was really well done. Like I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
My favorite aspects of this.
To be fair, though, Hawkeye had been putting it about left, right, and center even before all this, right?
Hawkeye.
He wasn't that upset. He wasn't that upset about it.
He's had everybody on that page, Hawkeye, hasn't he?
What?
Yeah.
Hey up. Efren, any thoughts on issue 1?
I love splash pages. When the previous picture, when they come out, I went, oh my God, this is so awesome. This is what draws. When I was a kid, I used to love when, like I said, the X-Men used to cross over, with Fantastic Four, or the Avengers and Fantastic Four used to cross over. So whenever I see something like this is, these types of shots, I really enjoy it. This is what got me. Like I said, this is only the second time I've ever read this series. The first time I read it, which was over 10 years ago, easily. Drawings like this, I'm like, wow, I can't wait to read the next issue. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, because it seemed to end maybe every issue on a splash page.
There's a lot of splash pages in the series.
Yeah.
I think what I particularly enjoyed of the first issue is I'm not a huge Bendis fan. I don't like his dialogue at times, but I did enjoy Avengers Disassembled, and I just like how he kind of starts the story or builds the suspense. So like in this, when the kind of the invasion starts, you literally get page after page of sword gets blown up, the Fantastic Four building, you see that get blown up. This ship, it feels like shit. This is big. Do you know what I mean?
Stuff's going down. Yeah.
Really quick. Look at Ares, the god of war. Yeah. I just noticed, doesn't his chest plate almost look like the Punisher's mask a little bit?
Well,
there's a callback.
Yeah,
because he wears the Punisher's.
Check out episode 1.
Peter, I am happy you mentioned the dialogue, because I thought the dialogue was really ropey in this. Like, it doesn't feel like real people are talking. It's like, I, Ant-Man, formerly Giant Man, and you, Janet the Wasp. It's like, this sucks.
Bendis has got a particular style about him, and some people love it. For me personally, it just doesn't gel. So I don't know if it's this issue or the next issue. Ares' speech is just awful. He's like literally keeps saying, "Guys, we need to leave now." And then someone, yes, guys, let us leave
atrocious.
Now. I'm telling you, it's time. It's just like,
Yes. Yeah, he was like pretty much bossy there, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He's saying, "Yeah, we've got to go. You need to go. Use those who can fly, fly."
Yeah.
He's
But
like,
no
"You're
one
in
listens to him.
charge."
That's a good
No,
thing.
no, no.
Everybody just ignores him.
You're lucky to
Maybe-
be here, you know.
Maybe they have to say who they are because we've been reading comic books for a long time, so we know who these characters are. But if somebody picks up the book, never read it before, they may not know that.
Well, for not like I'm fairly well versed, like comic book wise, regarding characters, and there's a few characters in this I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Not on this
Yeah.
page, but like some of the
Yeah.
later, there's a few obscure ones or ones outside of costumes that I just didn't.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is this? Like,
Yeah, there you go.
And I love the fact, again, I don't know if it's this issue or the next issue, but arguably the most powerful character in the Marvel Universe, the Sentry. Because he's too powerful, they need to take him off the board. So they just make him cry and he flies off. And that's him done for the entire alien invasion. He's just circling the planet.
Yeah, because Sentry's not one person. I've never really read any of his stuff.
It's
But I don't know if he had like a mental.
It was because of the void,
breakdown or
right?
something.
So they showed him the void, which made him panic
Right.
because he's like, well, that would destroy everyone. I need to get away from everyone.
Yeah.
It's like a split personality.
What a hero.
Yeah.
I just realized there's this one major character that I don't believe was in this series at all. It was the Hulk. I wasn't sure what was happening with him back then.
Was he not Planet Hulk at the time, Ephraim?
Was he?
Yeah, was it
think
stuff
he
with
was.
the Illuminati going on at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And don't forget, I mean, just talking about Sentry and Ares there in the next mini series, the one that follows this, Siege, Sentry literally rips Ares in half.
Nice.
Just pulls him into, and you see spinal column and everything. It's superb.
See, we've
That's
got a
a
scroll
good
showing
one.
up. From Comics,
Very
welcome.
cool.
Thanks for joining us. Yeah, do you want to go into issue 2, Pete?
Yeah, sure would.
Yeah, so we go issue 2. The start of it, you get a standoff between the people coming out the ship and the heroes already on the Savage Land. Yeah, and Spider-Man gets stomped by a T-Rex.
yeah.
That was
Yeah,
a
so-
brilliant image.
I wanted to highlight the T-Rex thing because I think that was probably the game-changing moment for this story as well. Because
Right.
at the beginning, when they first came off the ship, and you've got them facing off with each other, you can at least see that there's a divide of good guys and bad guys. One's not right, one is. The minute the T-Rex comes plowing through, everyone's scattered, and then all of a sudden you don't know who you can trust. You don't know if that is. And even us as the reader, you're going, well, hang on a minute. And you're looking back going, is that the one from one side or from the other side?
Yeah.
Can this person trust them? So it's a very good use of the Savage Land and the T-Rex to get them scattered. Because if it was just on the war ground, it would be a lot easier to pinpoint who was on which side.
I'm pretty sure Spider-Man says that run in this issue what dinosaurs can do. And like basically making reference that everybody's scattered and nobody knows who's who. So there's a lot of fighting, a lot of trying to figure out who's who.
I mean, not to get too far ahead of it, but Black Widow nails the solution.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
I instantly was like, yes, I love this character. I don't read a lot of Black Widow, but when she shows up, it's very cool.
Yeah, Fuzzy's absolutely right. Luke in dinosaur heaven. When is he not? And then you get the thing going down in New York. Is it the Young Avengers in New York? Because there's that many different groups going around.
Yeah.
And then you get the big
that's what I mean.
splash.
There's so many that don't have any role in it really at all. Like Hood and the criminal gang don't do anything
join in
later.
later.
At all. But they don't do anything at all. There's nothing important to this story. You could have written them out and nobody would have noticed at all. So why?
I think that's the thing about events. So like as I see them, everybody has to be involved. It has to be like a world changing thing to be an event, not like King and Black.
They had their own mini series attached to this, I think, from memory. I did want to mention the design of the scrolls because I remember that irritating us at the time, and it irritates us now when I reread it. They've all kind of got a bit like Super Scroll, kind of mimicking different heroes. Like that one there's obviously wearing the Doctor Strange cloak and everything. You've got Black Bolt.
Yeah.
I don't understand how the scrolls have got all that equipment or all that kind of power sets and things. Because they haven't captured
the power sets.
Well, they had captured them, hadn't they? That was the point.
Yeah.
They hadn't captured Doctor Strange, had they? So
the thing that was explained, I think it was in like early issues, was that every skirmish the Skrulls have had on Earth with the heroes have actually been siphoned off their DNA.
Ah, right, okay.
To get the power sets.
Got you.
I can't remember what run it was in, but that was basically how it was explained.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they give them all, wiped all the memories of these scrolls and replaced them with whichever hero they were going to take over, so they could put the sleeper scrolls into place.
Again, that's why we have to have the stuff before and the stuff afterwards. It's not really a standalone story.
No, it's not even remotely a standalone at all. Like, you're jumping in the middle of a story here.
But I guess you can argue that with any event book, can't you?
Yeah.
Any modern event book from the last 20 years that's got 150 tie-ins, like last week's book, you're never going to get the full fleshed out story if you're just reading these issues. Do you know what I mean?
So if you want the full fleshed out story, go back to Fantastic Four number 3 or 4. Scrolls first, I think, and
That's all
just start
you need.
reading. Just start reading from there.
Yeah.
And there you get another big splash page in New York where the Skrulls are invading, and then we get on to issue 3. You get the Young Avengers. They initiate a fight in New York against these invading Skrulls. Tony, Iron Man has such a good arc in this story as well. By the way,
Yeah.
I say you find out Spider-Woman is the Skrull Empress, and she's just fucking with his head all the way through it.
Yeah.
Basically, I thought that was really well done. Vision gets shot in the head
Yeah. I love
in
that
this
bit.
issue, which I thought was there it is, in the middle. I thought that was a brilliant panel.
Yeah.
And at the end, Nick Fury, can't even speak. So excited. Nick Fury shows up with the Secret Warriors?
Secret Warriors.
No,
Yeah.
Howling Commandos. They were Howling Commandos.
Howling Commandos, yeah.
Howling
Howling
Commandos.
Commandos.
Yeah.
But
And the
actually,
series-
Retcon that as well.
The series after this is Secret Warriors. That's what
Yes,
the
right.
team
Yes, they
become.
turn into
Yeah.
But at this time, right, again, I only know this because I looked it up, but at this time, that's a decoy, isn't it? That's not the real Nick Fury.
Oh, I can't remember, Luke.
I don't know. For the
So that's-
purposes of this, I
That's
thought
one
it
of
was real.
these. Well, yeah, but it was one of those things where I was like, oh yeah, I remember the Howling Commandos. So I went and looked it all up, and then I read that it was at this time of Secret Invasion that would have been a decoy, just based on all the other future stories that we see coming up.
Right.
But that team, when they become the Secret Warriors, it's an incredible run of books. That's well worth picking up and reading.
Yeah.
You mentioned
Quake
this earlier.
had a good bit in this book as well, mind.
Yeah, Quake's very cool. The young lad, Phoebus, or something he's called. He's
Yeah.
the son of Ares, god of fear. He's amazing.
Who's the bald guy?
Stonewall, he's called in this, and I think he's a relation of Absorbing Man. I think from
See what I mean?
memory.
We're
Yeah,
just
when he
putting
first-
anyone in this thing, like.
When I first seen him, I thought it was Absorbing Man. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw
think
that.
it was,
Yeah, I thought it
Quake
was-
said, "Oh, Stonewall." I was like, "Who?"
Yeah,
But Efren, you were going to say something?
Going back to what you said, issues 2 and 3 is how they start playing it, how she starts playing around with Tony Stark's head.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, it's so easy. You can manipulate somebody into thinking, who the heck am I? He was basically having a nervous breakdown right in front of us. I was like, whoa, they're really playing a mind trip on him.
Yeah, well, that's it. And I think it's Captain Marvel as well.
yeah.
He goes through something similar.
There's also one of the most gratuitous ass shots I've ever seen in a comic book with Spider-Woman. I think in this issue, where she's full on like bent over. Like, yeah, I was like, Jesus Christ, it's like 2008. I know it wasn't that long ago, but like, come a long way. Just a side note, the covers of these are phenomenal. I think, one of the best runs of covers for any kind of.
Pussy's agreeing with you, James.
That's a rarity, isn't it?
Just talking about the covers briefly.
That one is it? Can't see with the glare on the. Is she like art? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, just like Jesus Christ. That's what you look up that stuff on Reddit. Like, it's crazy.
You mate. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah. I didn't even notice that.
Just
Which is
referencing
right
the.
Of course, you didn't notice. Yeah,
I didn't
I believe it.
notice.
Yeah.
Just referencing the covers and stuff, like despite the Disney Plus show, I mean, like we've already mentioned, it's probably nothing to do with this. It's almost a guarantee. But despite the show, these books are still so readily available. Like there's loads of them on eBay. Because I thought, I'll sell my copies and they're not going for anything. So if anyone does like them and does want to pick them up, they're there. They're cheap.
Yeah,
You know, they are really good.
they are nice artwork. But you're right, Luke. I mean, this was a massive deal back in the day because it was Bendis. He was like gold. So this will have been produced in the obscene numbers.
Thanks, babe. Love you too.
He means comic deal.
Yeah,
of course.
And we go straight on to issue 4. So we get Reed stitching himself back together. Fury attacking. Get this voiceover saying about how helpless the humans are. Then we find out Spider-Woman is telling Tony all this in the voiceover, trying to convince him he is a Skrull. Black Widow shows up. I thought the bit where Black Widow says Tony was absolutely brilliant. Get Abigail Brand, who's floating about in space. She actually ends up getting onto the Skrull ship and finds Reed. And then this is the issue where the villains like the Hood start to get involved. Yeah. Any good points in this one for anybody?
I liked the Black Widow character. I think she was perfect for this series because she's a spy. And I don't think she lets her emotions get in the way like other characters would. She knows what she has to do. She has one agenda, and she goes for it. So I really enjoyed her character in this series.
Yeah. I'm just flicking through. I enjoy it. I'm going to disagree with James. I know James said before there, what was it? Oh, they'll just throw anybody in this series. Yep. You see, I'm just looking at the images. You see the kind of the Secret Avengers and the villains and stuff defending New York, whilst the other battles going on. So I quite like that they're there. And I think those characters were. I can't remember if the Secret Avengers were introduced in this book or if you already knew of them, but it just paints the picture of a bigger event going on, I guess, for me. And the end of this was quite nice. I don't think we've got an image of it, but it's where you kind of see Captain America's shield because it's Bucky's taking over his cap. And I think that's when he's introduced, and Thor kind of appearing. And it's kind of signaling the rebirth of the big hitters, as it were, in the Avengers coming back.
Yeah. It says Thor returning, and then you see Cap's shield. But you don't see Cap for the rest of the issue, do you?
You only see the last panel.
Splash pages. Yeah.
It's the last panel of this issue because they didn't want to show his costume because it was the Alex Ross redesigned costume because it's Bucky, obviously.
Right. So yes.
You just see the shield in the star on his chest.
Yeah. Hush your jolly self, you're wrong. Anybody else on this issue?
Just have it. For me, like the whole thing blurred together a little, so I'm just like flapping a flick through now.
I didn't really like Jarvis as the leader, like kind of the Skrulls, I go, Jarvis? It's like, okay.
Yeah. But to be fair though, is anyone more than Jarvis? He's right there in the Avengers Tower. He's alongside Tony Stark.
Guys, it's there's no this at the time of Civil War. Both Peter and Aunt May went to live over at Stark Towers, and Aunt May was banging Jarvis, which was obviously a Skrull.
Yeah. She'll do out. Honestly, she's been with Doc Ock and I think a dirty beast.
She was. This was the reveal. This issue revealed that Aunt May was banging a Skrull.
Yeah. Is that like addressed in any of the comics gone forward?
No. Again, you just have to kind of look. Yeah, you just have to look back yourself and go, "Oh, this was happening at this time."
I think it's mentioned in New Avengers later on. Because I remember. Yeah, I'm sure it's mentioned by Peter and else. I put that image up actually because I really like that one because it's kind of when you realize that actually this is wider than just superheroes. Because there's the good conversation between Jarvis and Mariah Hill there, where basically all of a sudden, if you look behind her, the people who are supporting her are also Skrulls.
Yeah.
And they do that reveal, and it kind of makes you think, actually, who the fuck's not a Skrull at this point? You know what I mean? So, I thought it was pretty cool.
I think these Skrulls were basically, it's a cult, because they kept on saying, God loves you, throughout the whole thing.
I really like that. He loves you, they kept saying.
Oh, he loves you.
Yes. That was really creepy,
That line.
Apparently there's...
Sorry, that line, I think it's on the last issue with Nick Fury. I haven't put a slide up, just with her referencing, they keep saying, God loves you, and then Nick Fury goes, yeah, but my God's got a hammer.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Thor's standing
Yes.
behind him. And it's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
awesome.
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Skrull Emperor said this book of prophecy or whatever,
Yeah.
and they were pretty much a religious zealots
Yeah.
by this point. Fuzzy's just saying, I've still got a chance with Aunt May. You Jarvis. Whatever float your boat, mate.
Hey, Marissa Tomei.
Yeah. She'll make you some lovely oat cakes afterwards. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. So we'll go on to issue 5. We get Captain Marvel found out to be a sleep agent, and it's actually Norman Osborn who tries to talk him through it, which I thought was a great little interaction between them two. Norman saying, "Oh, I've had voices in my head, I know how this goes," and basically Marvel shoots off somewhere. Then the Skrulls, you get this broadcast by the Skrulls, excuse me, saying how they are invading, but everything's going to stay the same. We're going to help you with your crops and your healthcare and give you better medicines and better technology. Someone else I found out today, this is actually what the Skrulls do when they are invading and adding to their empire. They basically leave whatever world that's gone into their empire alone and just help them out. Someone else to do with the She-Ra, they did the same thing, how they took over planets and just left them alone.
All right.
I didn't know if any of you knew about that.
No, I didn't know.
There you go.
No.
I did like that was an interesting twist on it. I think that they're like at least telling the public that they're gonna like leave the place better than they got there. Which is not a usual thing you see in like an alien invasion thing.
Yeah.
This issue had one of my favorite panels in the whole thing, which was the splash page of like all the different celebrities and like Obama and Sarah Palin and Stephen Colbert and stuff like Oprah, Tom Cruise and all like just all there like saying the lines. I thought that was really, really cool. Very 2008 because you have like John McCain and stuff. But I enjoyed that. It's fun.
That unfortunately, as nice as it is to see, it really does date the comics though. Like when you go back to see it, you're just like, well, now you can't change when this was set. You can't change, like you can't in your own headcanon, you can't reinvent when.
Literally, there's a sign that says Colbert 08. And you can too. Yeah, it's a reference to the Colbert.
It was Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs, yeah. A few others. It's good. Osama bin Laden. I was like, ooh.
There you go.
Yeah.
If anyone's a Skrull, Yeah. Then we get Reed and Abigail Brand teaming up together, and they go back to the Savage Land. And Reed's actually made something to detect the Skrulls now. Obviously, being the smartest man on Earth, he can. And this is where Clint finds out Bobby is a Skrull, and basically just kills her there and then.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
And I love how angry he is. We're going to kill every single one of them.
Yeah.
Great, yeah.
But I love how confused she is as well, because obviously they really, truly believed that they were the real thing. Do you know what I mean? So I thought Bobby believed she was Bobby.
Yeah, because they were that brainwashed. Yeah. They were,
I didn't know that. I just assumed she was bullshit.
No. I think a lot of I think they mentioned it later.
Oh, because they're all saying this is a trick and all this. Yeah. Okay.
So they've been that brainwashed into believing that they are the actual real deal,
Yeah.
I liked this issue. I put the image up because I guess going back to one of the things that James was saying, because it's a long time since I've read it, the Captain Marvel stuff was a little bit jarring because I can't remember when he came back or how he came back. And obviously he's a Skrull in this, but I don't remember him coming. Do you know what I mean?
I thought I missed an issue and had to go back and check. I thought I skipped it.
But I like that scene with Norman Osborn because that's where you start to kind of get the seeds of what's going on in the series. That it's kind of going to start painting Norman. Yeah, he's manipulating people to be the hero of the story, I guess.
As Norman always does.
Yeah. And Fuzzy's right, that cover is sensational.
Yeah,
I love that
it's
cover.
brilliant.
You know who the artist is? Is it Alex Ross or no, right?
Not Ross. No, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure who did the cover on that one.
That would be a nice one to get signed with a nice purple pen.
Yeah, look great.
It looks sexy.
This also has, I think, one of the best moments in the entire thing. Because it's like not a scroll reveal; it's a life metal decoy reveal, and it's Natasha. getting off.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
Marie Hill.
Right.
That was brilliant. I did. That was like I went in this. I was never really that surprised when anyone was a scroll because I was kind of expecting everyone to be a scroll. But that I didn't see
Right.
coming. I was like, oh, it's a life model decoy. Oh, that's fun. So like, yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, we'll go on to issue 6P. So yeah, the school's backup plan. They start mentioning this is got something to do with the Wasp. They're in like a airplane place hangar, and they're talking between themselves. And they do have a backup plan. You get some people protesting. They want the schools to stay.
That's great. Because
Which
that's
you can
just,
actually see in this
true,
day in life.
That
does.
would fucking happen. Like if
Definitely.
people, yeah, it's so annoying.
Social
And like they were like
justice
some of them were
warriors
like hippies. They're like, hey man, they're here to help us, man. Welcome. And yeah.
As Hulk would say, puny humans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
4 turns up in this issue.
Yeah.
The level playing field. Then you get 2 splash pages at the end. I don't know if you got the slides for them ones, Pete, or
I'm not sure if I did or not. I'm just flicking through. No, I didn't.
No, that's fine. And this is basically the Avengers Assemble splash pages. Yeah, I thought were brilliantly done.
Yeah, stunning.
Yeah. Anybody else on thoughts on this issue?
I loved the interaction between Cap and Thor. I thought that was tremendous, and I just like the setup of it all. And I always, because I'm a geek fanboy, I always love the Avengers Assemble moments where you see everybody kind of pulling together and stuff like that. So yeah, I thought again another strong issue.
But Thor knows that's not his cap, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he says so. Yeah.
And this, I think, later on leads into a conversation between him and Iron Man, and I would just encourage people to go and check out. I don't know whose run it was, but around the same time when Thor came back to Earth, there's it's issue 4 of his new series or something where he confronts Iron Man and they have a fight because basically he blames Iron Man for Captain America's death during Civil War, and it's one of the best written issues. It's just stunning. It's well worth it.
I think they have a moment in this as well, Pete.
He says this is all your fault. Like if it didn't split everyone apart, like we would have dealt with this. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, he makes some interesting threats.
Yeah,
definitely.
I looked at the artist for the previous cover. It's Gabrielle Delato.
Delato. Yeah. Then issue 7, it's just all out war. The Watcher turns up in one panel.
That was great. The whole this can't be that bad. Here when he shows up.
I think it was Spider-Man who was saying that, isn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Jessica Jones joins the fight.
Yeah.
Leaves the baby with Jarvis. Stupid woman.
Now that's the thread I was talking about, where that doesn't get resolved, and like I assume it's not Dark Reign. It's another thing you have to read to like see what happens.
Carries on into New Avengers, into the main title.
Right. That's annoying. It's like if it's don't do
go
that.
and read it. It's not annoying.
Yeah, that's true. They shouldn't have left that as a cliffhanger.
Yeah, but I shouldn't have to. Just a complete story. It's not a complete story. It's like here's a cliffhanger.
It's the whole point of comics, James. They set stuff up.
Well, that's stupid.
Further down the road, so you buy more comics.
Just reboot it all again. I say. Then I'll start fresh. Do 2 issues a year.
There you go. And then we find out Wasp is basically a biological weapon. Hank's been playing it for years, saying, "Oh, take this growth pill," but it's actually done something to her body, and it's turned into a biological weapon. Is anybody surprised by that?
I feel like if you're going to have her be the big death and the big like emotional blow, she should have played a bit more of a role throughout it. Like,
she didn't have a lot of panels, did she?
Someone even she gets mentioned, I think, in this issue, like, one of the scrolls says is Janet Van Dyne there, and they go, yeah, and I was like, is she? Like, I don't remember ever seeing her, so like, you don't. She came out of nowhere in this issue, and then she's the big emotional punch. It's like, oh, could have like threaded that throughout.
I do like that she was the emotional punch though, because obviously, like, she's the reason that the Avengers have their namesake. You know, she is a true prime member of it all.
Founding member.
Yeah, so I do like that, but just overall, the idea of her becoming this weapon was just, oh, okay, this is happening.
I think for me, she is a fountain member, but dare I say she's one of the more forgettable ones. I think Bendis loves to kill off a big character, doesn't he? So this was his big death scene, but it had no impact on me at all because I don't particularly care for the Wasp.
How long
I think
did she stay dead?
Well, it was a while. It was a year or two.
Oh,
But actually, this leads
that-
into the quantum realm kind of stuff because she wasn't dead; she was in another realm. But
Oh, there you go.
but I guess what was more interesting was what happened to Hank after this. So this was used as a catalyst to improve the Hank Pym character, and he became. I don't know if you remember, Luke. You probably read at the time. I really liked the run where you had Sorcerer Supreme, and then they made him Scientist Supreme.
Yeah.
So that was he took on the name of Wasp, didn't he? And had a Wasp, and
Right.
that was a very cool run. Mighty Avengers, I think it was called.
I'm just reading Avengers Volume 1, the Silver Age run.
Yeah.
I've got to say, Janet Van Dyne is one of the fiercest characters you'll ever meet.
Well, it's the
She
60s.
just goes after
That's how they roll
everybody.
women,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously. I thought Sue
Yeah.
Storm was bad, but bloody hell.
I love that image as well, by the way, of Hawkeye shooting the arrow through her mouth.
Yep.
I think
I
that's
just-
stunning.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Because going back to an early issue, I'm assuming a few characters might be dead, like we were just saying there, Janet Van Dyne. But didn't the Skrull Empress take out Echo?
Oh, I
in
can't
an
remember.
early
I
issue?
don't even remember, and that
Really?
that says so at all, doesn't it? If you don't,
I can't remember her taking out Echo.
character dying. Yeah.
Yeah, it's when she had that arse shot. Echo was
Right.
in the tree. Just weren't looking.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
I like this.
Oh, all right.
I like this.
Just weren't paying attention, we is.
I was. Yeah.
There was one scene
Bit of the
that I
bloody
enjoyed.
panel.
Go on, Efren, get it
Sorry,
out. Come on.
Sorry, Efren.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep quiet like Luke. No, there's this one scene that I really enjoyed with Kate Bishop when she gets hurt and then Ronan picks up his old arrows, and becomes Hawkeye again. I thought it was a pretty cool scene.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
starts killing everybody basically.
Luke, any
You're
thoughts
right.
on this issue? Sorry,
Sorry,
Peter.
GP, you're right. She does take her out, but it doesn't really. It doesn't show that she's killed her. You get a crack noise when she throws her into the woods.
Yeah. I was
Oh, that
doesn't
imagining
mean
it was a
anything.
neck.
Yeah.
Luke, any thoughts on this issue?
No, I mean, like I say, the whole her growing bigger, expanding, and becoming this kind of bioweapon. Like I say, it was just kind of like, oh, okay, this is where they're going with it. Much like what James said earlier, a lot of this all just blended together because I read it all one after another. So defining what happened in each issue, I'm not too sure. So I'm going to wait until we round it off and then throw out a thought afterwards.
Okay, not a problem. So issue 8, 4 kills the Wasp. It's implied, but we just talked about that, so that negates that, really, doesn't it? Everyone lines up to take out the Skrull Queen, but it's ultimately Norman Osborn who kills her, saves the day.
Just
Yeah,
with a bullet, like anyone else could have done.
There you go.
Not even a special power.
The missing heroes come back, and you find out Jarvis has took Luke and Jessica's baby, and there we go. It sets up Dark Reign, and that is the final issue of Secret Invasion. So, any thoughts on this last issue?
Yeah, I have one.
Any-
On
yeah,
the
one.
right-hand side, go back to the previous picture. There's this one character right next to Iron Man. He's all in blue with a mask on. At the bottom right-hand side, from the bottom, one up from the bottom.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, who the heck is that guy? I couldn't figure out who he was. Does any of you guys know who he is?
Can't tell on that image. Efren, I'm going to have to have
Me neither. I didn't know who he was. Like a nondescript superhero. I was like, who is that?
Oh,
You just
also,
threw
I-
him in for the fun of it.
I didn't really get the last Tony Stark scene where I think it's Maria Hill talking to him, and he looks shocked and says, she's like, "Are you okay?" And he goes, "What?" I didn't really get the context of that. I don't know what that I know it's like Norman Osborn is getting all praise and all, but that was they both knew that going in. So what's the whole wash about?
I think he was still traumatized by
Traumatized.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he
Oh,
was
he just
Yeah.
wasn't listening to her, was it? Like he's just
yeah, I
like,
think
staying-
he-
okay.
he was just broken because now obviously Norman Osborn takes over all of that side of it, doesn't he? Takes over
So
the
at-
shield
at-
and everything.
At this
think he
point,
knows what's coming.
At this point, they built Tony Stark up. He'd been Secretary of Defense for a while.
Yes.
Then he was in charge of Shield and the Avengers. And so this was kind of his mental break, basically.
Okay,
that he's,
right,
he's
that's
kind of
I'm
done.
surprised he didn't take a drink after
Yeah,
all.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
well, that's what I thought they were leading to, Efren, to be honest. I don't know who that blue character is, Efren. Can't make head or
Yeah,
tail
I'm
of it.
just looking there. Yeah, no
Yeah.
idea.
I loved this setting up of Norman Osborn. I love the fact that
Yeah.
they've phrased it, with the news copter behind him, so he's automatically the hero of the story, and that's how it plays out
Yeah.
in the subsequent issues. Love the interaction between Thor and Iron Man here,
Oh, yes.
which again, I guess, James, that plays into your point. At this point, Tony Stark he's lost all of his friends. Everybody hates him. He's lowest
Yeah, he's
ebb.
broken.
And then we get this splash page of the Cabal, who Dark Avengers was a superb series. And then Norman Osborn kind of taking on the Avengers and Thunderbolts and everything.
Yeah.
And the comics after this were very, very good. And the Siege as a miniseries is very, very good as well.
Right. So a lot for people to dive into.
And of course, that's
Yeah.
Loki there in his female version, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Got Emma Frost, Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the Hood? That's the Hood there as well.
The Hood,
And
and I
Nemo.
can't remember. Is it Azazel or something? The other guy?
Yeah, it
I
looks
can't
like
remember.
that.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he a big bad
Good.
floating around in the comics at this point?
I can't remember much about him, to be honest.
No,
He's not one
I
I'm
just
overly familiar
remember
with.
him from
Oh, it's
X-Men,
not, man.
that's about
It's
it.
Namor. Sorry,
His
it's Namor, yeah.
Gosh, the color and he looks red, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Namor.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Any final thoughts on the series as a whole?
I found it all very entertaining, but it really was a lot of setup because like what everyone's already said, what came next was truly amazing. There was some really good stuff, but this needed to happen to get there. So
Right.
A lot of this was about knocking Tony Stark off his perch and handing the reins over to Norman Osborn. And if this event hadn't happened to do it, I don't see how else they would have got there. This was a very well put together story in that sense, but as a standalone story, like what James was saying again, if you were just going to pick this up and read this and nothing else, it's a bit anticlimactic. Nothing. You need to know what comes next. You need to carry on the story.
Yeah. James?
I don't want to come off. I know I've sounded like overly negative more than like I
Yes,
did
you have.
like quite a lot of this and enjoyed a lot of it. So I don't want to. I didn't hate it at all. I just think like it is it's a high barrier of entry for it. I feel, and I just don't see how you could say that this is a standalone thing. You need context from other things. And then, it's completely anticlimactic. It doesn't have an ending for several storylines. So, but I think it's a fun ride. There's a lot of great action in it, some good character moments in it. So, yeah, it's not a bad read by any means.
Yeah, Efren?
When I read books like this, or even when I go see a movie or a certain TV show, I want to be taken away and just my imagination take over. This is what this book did for me. Sure, it wasn't the best written book ever. James is pointing out a bunch of the things that weren't resolved. That's true. It wasn't resolved.
Yeah.
But overall, I really enjoyed the book. I said, this is the second time I read it. The first one was in 2008. I never picked it up again. I knew the storyline, but it was good reading it again. And to me, like I said, I love splash pages when all these characters intermix with each other, and you don't normally see. Even some villains were involved this time too, trying to protect Earth, which you don't see that often. They always have their own agenda. And Norman Osborn being a hero at the end, I was like, then that last page with Dr. Doom and the rest, I was like, cool. It leads to something else. But I didn't like that James mentioned it, that what happened to Luke Cage's daughter. I go, damn, why would they leave that as a cliffhanger on this book? If you don't read other books and it doesn't say this will be continued in, You know, it was.
That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. There's no direction of
Yeah, there's
how
no-
we're
Can
gonna
I-
get that rest of that
Can I
story.
just say that later on, the interrogation scene that you get with some of the Skrulls in order to find Luke Cage's daughter
Oh,
is
wow.
pretty damn amazing. It's pretty
It's-
damn good. I'm not going to ruin it and say what it is, but definitely check it out.
Is that in the new
Who was
Avengers?
I'm not sure what Peter. Do you know what book that's in?
New Avengers.
Is it?
New
Yeah.
Avengers.
What issue?
Fuck nice, don't know.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
Go and read the run, James.
Yeah.
Go and read the
Oh,
run.
the whole thing.
Pete, how about yourself?
I'm absolutely flabbergasted by James and Luke. To be fair,
I know.
I find I thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought it was a really
Yeah.
entertaining read. I get that you might have a better time reading it if you know the story around it. But guys, it's a mini series in the Marvel universe. You kind of expected to read around it a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
To say that you don't like hanging threads, that's like saying you've never read a comic book or watched a movie. Any kind of movie series or comic book has a kind of pick up the next issue because you need to find out more about this. That's what this does for me. It made us want to go out and read more, I guess. I was pleasantly surprised. I went into this expecting to think it was a load of shit because I don't think I liked it at the time,
Yeah.
if I'm honest, because I'm not a Bendis fan and I didn't like the art at the time. But I feel much happier having read it now. I still think it's got nothing to do with Secret Invasion coming forward.
No.
But as a standalone issue, and I get it probably read better for me because I do know more about what happened around it and stuff. But for a standalone story, it's a classic sci-fi story. You've got an alien invasion, you've got a big fight at the end, someone saves the day, hurrah, everybody's happy. That's quite an entertaining story for me, I guess. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Far more than Flashpoint. Flashpoint was cack.
Well, that'll bring us on to what we're going to score it out of 10. So, Pete, what's your score, mate?
It's a good read. It's not a perfect read. I go for probably my average score of probably about an 8.
Yeah, good. James?
6.5 to 7. I'd say would be about where I am.
That's fair, isn't it?
It is.
I didn't hate it,
Yeah.
Peter. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't
That's
say
what I'm saying.
I
That's
didn't hate
a
it.
fair score.
I thought it was decent. Yeah, like
Yeah.
not
Luke?
terrible by any means.
Yeah, I was with James. It's going to be about 6.5, but I'm going to call it a 7 because it's a good story. It's entertaining. It is a real shame though that so many of these good comic book stories that we all know and love, the general audience who just watch the MCU, whether it be movies or TV show, they know nothing of these things. Secret Invasion, Age of Ultron, all the way these stories play out, so different.
And this is the frustrating thing for me. Sorry, Efren, just before you score, this is the frustrating thing for me. DC have done such a good job of converting their events into animated movies that are very, very strong movies. Yes, they tweak them and change them a little bit so they're more palatable, I guess. But some of their standalone movies are superb. Marvel have balls that up from day one. They've never done really a good animated movie like this. They could turn this into a great kind of sci-fi superhero romp.
Yeah.
I mean, they even screwed up the Ultimates when they tried to convert the Ultimates into an animated movie.
I
and
enjoyed that.
The fights at the end are good, but they changed the story so much. It's,
the next What If series should be What If Marvel followed the fucking source material.
Spicy. Fuzzy's just saying, I'm still looking forward to the show tomorrow. You haven't killed it.
I mean, this has nothing to do with the show at all. Like, literally.
Yeah, Fuzzy, I think that for me, if you take away the big scenes of your splash page, superheroes hitting each other and stuff like that, this at its core is a spy story. It's a kind of a who do you trust? Who's really the enemy? And I think that's what the Disney Plus show will be. I think it'll be Samuel L. Jackson, Fury, as a sleeper agent or whatever, unpicking who the bad guys are. So I think it's going to be, I'm hoping it's going to be an entertaining show. Although it's been getting 6s and 7s, hasn't it, from the reviewers?
It's the first couple episodes, though, so if it's a slow burn.
Yeah, you've got to give it time.
Yeah,
you've got to get into it.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to bring back Coulson in this series, because he was Nick Fury's right-hand man for a while,
Yeah. I can't remember how Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. left him. Did he die? I think he died in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., didn't him?
He dies twice in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think.
Well, no,
but
I think
time travel,
I think the very last episode, it has him and What was she
No, he's
called?
somebody else. He's like, yes, right.
Cavalry, the cavalry lady,
Yeah.
who's in Star Wars as well, James.
Melinda
Yeah.
May.
Yeah, Melinda
Yeah.
May.
In that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Huh.
Efren, your score, mate.
I give it about an 8 also. You know, it was a
Yeah.
good read. I really enjoyed it. And that's what matters to me when I read a book. If I enjoy it, I don't enjoy, I do like splash scenes, big splash scenes, but when there's smaller scenes and you have to read them all and you try to read them and try to figure out who says what next, I don't enjoy that at all. You know, sometimes I just wish there were bigger pages, you know, maybe because I'm just getting old. I'm going, who is following? What is going on here? But I enjoyed it.
I'm going to give it an 8 as well. I thought it was brilliant. I enjoyed it. I've read it twice now in a matter of days and still enjoy it. So it's got that readability for me. So yeah, I'll give it an 8, which gives us an overall score of 7.5, which isn't bad at all. It actually puts it in the fourth place. Puts it in the 4th place. I'll have to do a leaderboard, Pete. I'll have to.
What's above it then? What's above
it?
What's above it is Immortal Hulk, Thanos Wins, and Punisher.
Fair.
Yeah.
All fair.
So-
Yeah, that's all fair.
That's it. We just got to do the spinny wheel now to see what we will be reading next time. We've still got we've got Deceased, Philadelphia Volume 1, and Crimson Cage. So we'll give it a bash, see what comes up. Eee. What the hell's happening there? Get off.
Pornhub. What's Pornhub?
What? Shh.
I can't read
What's
that.
up there?
Deceased.
Oh, Deceased.
I like
Good.
Deceased. I've read that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good
Yes,
book. Yeah.
How many
That's
issues?
Simon's pick.
Volume 1, yeah. So the first mini
Yes,
series.
Volume 1. Yeah. Yeah. So that was Simon's pick. So hopefully Simon will turn up.
Has an ending
That
as
one.
well, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Does it?
Well, it does, James, but then it's followed on to about 5 different mini series after it.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah,
does.
but
that
I
book
found it a
ends.
satisfying read.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
being
It's
stopped
got a
there.
nice, satisfying ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's a
very good
Anybody
too.
else got
Oh, look,
things
what
coming up on their channels? Pete, you'll have a whole host of stuff. We'll let you go first.
What about
We've got an hour.
on Friday? We've got our Let's Talk Comics show. Myself, Andy, and Phil from Phil's Nerdiverse. That's at 8 o'clock. 10 o'clock, I'm doing a live unboxing of some mystery comics that I got, and I'm going to give them away after we've opened them. And we'll probably do some bits and bobs as well on the show, make some games or something. Saturday, I've got This Is My with Ben, the Attention Seeking Geek. So that's at 8 o'clock. And
That's
then
it,
on
Ben
Monday,
back.
we've got on Monday we've got Let's Talk Toys with the usual crowd, me, James, Luke, and Simon, if he's still alive. Not heard from him.
Who knows?
Yeah, so that should be fun. So and then usual videos and shorts and all that kind of shit.
Brilliant. James, anything coming up, mate?
Yeah, I have a video on Star Wars Outlaws. Just kind of my thoughts on the gameplay and the trailer and what I kind of hope it gets right. So that'll be either Friday or Monday.
Brilliant. Luke?
On I think it's Saturday I've got it scheduled for. I've got a video about comic books that I avoid buying and what I'll accept within my collection. So I go through the different criteria that I look for in a book. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video about us talking about the scrolls, I also made a small video about the things that I would like to see happen within the Secret Invasion series. I don't think we're going to see any of it, but check it out before the show. See if I've called it on anything.
Did you find Efren's wish list? Efren, what have you got coming up, man? It sounds brilliant, Luke. Look forward to it.
Tomorrow I'm going live at my time, 8 p.m. You guys will be asleep, so if you guys want to show up, wake up early, go ahead. It's called Comic Culture. Just my take on events, comic books, comic book news, how the comic book market is going, more or less. And I throw a little bit of sports in there too, because I'm a big sports fan. And I'm gonna be posting a video pretty soon about San Diego Convention Center. I went to the convention center a couple of days ago, and I'm just going to show around San Diego a little bit, what's going to be happening. And Comic-Con's coming up in 1 month, so I'm going to be talking a lot about it on Instagram. And,
What's on your wish list, Efren? Are you going with anything in particular you want to pick up?
What I like going is Marvel always has these panels. They have at least 2 or 3 panels, and basically in every panel at the end they give away a free comic book.
Right.
Nice.
Okay.
And I always go for those. And it's called San Diego Comic-Con, but less than 10% of the whole convention is comic book vendors there. It's just been taken over by Hollywood and all that stuff, so hardly any of it is comic books, but I like going to the panel, and I'm going to be hosting another panel again, so I was fortunate to do that. And
Brilliant.
on Saturday, the day of Comic-Con, expect me to be live with Peter on his channel. We got to do a little live event. I'm going to show you guys a little bit about Comic-Con.
Need to send you over like a press pass or something. I got a
Yeah.
trilby hat with a card in it, that kind of thing.
I can't wait to see who we meet next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see if I can
I
do
think
that. See who's around.
yeah.
Just barge in.
If there's any NECA fans out there, I think they're dropping their video for the con exclusives
Oh,
And
well,
they
tomorrow.
did
tomorrow,
earlier.
I think.
Is the pictures of them up? Because I saw a few.
Yeah, I
today
think
that
they're
were
putting it out on the YouTube channel, James. So
Yeah, because there was like
I think they do it every year.
There was like a neon
lab-
green creature from Black Lagoon and stuff like that, like a carded one.
Yeah,
few
the
others.
neon green put me off that. If it's a
Yeah.
black and white one, I'd probably pick it up.
I'm waiting for the normal standard version. It's on. I've pre-ordered it, so I'm not sure when that's due to be released. But that's the one that I really want. That's the one I'm.
Yeah.
looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm a massive
Very
creature fan
cool.
myself.
Yeah, Ben picked up a 1/6 scale creature a little while ago.
Yeah.
It's very cool. Can't remember if it's Mondo, I think. Mondo figures.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave a link to everybody's channels in the description after the show ends because I didn't do it beforehand because I'm an asshole. I forget things. Honestly, I've got the worst memory.
Yeah,
ever.
hey, you do a very good job, Pete.
Oh, well,
It's a
thank you,
good
sir.
show. It's a good
Thank you.
show.
And that's it for us tonight. See you. Goodbyes.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Adios.
Bye.